Good morning and welcome to the Social Media Breakfast of Houston. Thanks for those of you who are here in person and those of you who are watching online. I really appreciate it that you're here today. Jennifer Todd is here with me.
Hey, everybody.
Yep, my partner in crime. So tell them a little bit about yourself, Jen.
So I have been working with Social Media Breakfast for a very long time, but I'm back. I'm sure you guys have seen me a couple of times in these sessions. I work for an AI tech company that focuses on finance and AI, but I've been a marketer for 25 years-ish. So I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen lots of iterations of technology.
I think you were basically one of the first social media managers for MD Anderson.
I was the first social media manager for MD Anderson.
Yep. So that's really cool. So, and Jennifer and I sat together over pizza and other things that we shouldn't have eaten. And then now we're talking about intermittent fasting, but then we were like, let's go to have pizza.
That was youth.
Yes. Youth. And she actually, she and I, we conceived of this and started it together. So I'm so happy that she's back. I love having the partner in crime. It's great.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's great. So anyway, so today we're going to be talking about AI, and I thought who better than Jennifer to do that because that's her day-to-day job, right?
Yeah.
So, and she and I are both working on this. I'm working on it from more of a marketing communication side, like how can we use AI responsibly and help us to accelerate what we do in our work and also make sure that we're not being evil with it, right? So that's the other part that I'm concerned about as well. I know that some people are like right now, the actors are basically
they're struggling,
striking because of AI and what it's doing to their business and to their business model. For example, if you're an extra as an actor and you sign the contract, on the contracts right now, they say that they can use your likeness in perpetuity with AI, which is honestly, I don't think that's right either.
Well, and I mean, I know we'll talk more today about AI and ethics, but it's organizations, it's companies that have the responsibility to make determinations on what their ethical standards should be. And I think that what's happening in Hollywood is a great example of how not thinking about the ethical side of AI can really be the downfall of your organization.
Right. So in the big rush, which I mean, in the marketing side of things, people are in a big rush right now to like learn how to use it. There's a lot of excitement about it. Like try this, try that. I just want us to put on our critical thinking hats when we're looking at this, and let's have fun, but let's also make sure that we're thinking through this.
Well, and one of the things, the main thing I'm really focused on the AI side of things is trying to learn how to use AI efficiently for marketing. I use it from not only the content perspective, but the strategy and analytics perspectives. And what I'm trying to do is work within my team to understand what are all the tools that are available and how can we use them effectively and efficiently to get as much work done as we can and do it well and do it accurately. And there's a lot of tools and opportunities out there to do it, but there's a lot of mess to sift through too in order to figure out how to do this right.
Yeah, that's great. And so just starting at the very top, let's talk a little bit about exactly what you just said is some of the tools that are out there, but more often what's underlying the AI. So I want to just get some understanding so we're all on the same page, we're all speaking the same language. Tracy and Tori, who are running the live stream, they're going to put some links in the stream that have a link to a document that we've put together that has all of these definitions. It talks about all the tools we're going to talk about today, has links to them, has some of the pros and cons of many of them. But at the bottom of it, everybody's talking about ChatGPT, but that's kind of like Kleenex, right? So it's a generic term. It's a company, but it's also a generic term that we're using. But there's a lot of AI models. Do you want to talk about that?
So most of what everybody is talking about right now is this generative AI base using a large language model. And a large language model is to explain it really simply, let's break it down really simply.
Yeah, sure.
Cami and I were talking about this earlier, and I thought the way she described it was really funny. So it's like when you're trying to train a toddler to speak. And so what do? You teach them mama, dada, this, that, then truck, car, sky, screen. Then they start putting it together. And so what the AI is doing is exactly that. It is taking all of these little bits and pieces of information, and it's learning and trying to understand how words are put together. So it starts really simply with just understanding like the alphabet and the order, and then understanding what the structure of a word is, and then understanding what the structure of a sentence is. And so with tools like GPT and OpenAI, they use the internet and literature and art and music to pull all the
They call it training
to train and pull it all into this tool. And then what the large language model is doing is it's recalling the information it got and then trying to put it all together in a sequence based on what it's learned so far.
Right, and it's making predictions. Like, so it's predicting what you want it to what you want to know. So when you ask it a question, it's predicting what kind of answer you might need or want based on what it already knows. And so again, like a toddler, as you grow up this young toddler, there's a couple of things that you need. Number one, you need lots and lots of inputs, right? Because you have to train that toddler up. Yes? Okay, so you have to train that toddler up, and you have to do all of that. Oh, it's falling into your shirt. I'm sorry. We are having a mic issue today. I may have to tape it to your actual skin. Sorry. We'll do it the other way around.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to tape this to her skin.
This is how you know we're very close.
Yes.
Please tape me down. Thank you.
Is that better? Awesome. Sorry about that. Anyway, so yeah, you have to train that AI and grow it up, like you were saying. And guess what? You need guidelines for it too. You need to tell it what the guardrails are. Like you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't have this, you can't do that. So whenever you're talking to an AI, you have to remember that you can actually put limits on that AI. You can tell it what not to do as well. So I want this without this, so you have to start thinking about that if you're going to be an engineer of what they call prompts, a prompt engineer, which by the way, I think is a new career field. If I'm not, no, I mean, I'm serious. I remember you were talking, you could be a prompt engineer. Absolutely can. So I remember we were talking about this when social media first started. So we had some of the same conversations, obviously not nearly as smart of a tool, but the world was ending. All the jobs were going to be gone. There'd be nothing for communicators anymore. Everybody is going to be an intern. I don't know. It was like this really interesting conversation that sounds a lot like what we're having today around AI. Eerily.
No, it feels like deja vu. Because it was some of the same fears and some of the same concerns, and then there were people who weren't ready to learn it, and then there were people who jumped immediately into it. But I think the one thing that is really parallel right now is that fear. I heard from so many people, what's this for? We're going to lose our jobs. And yeah, there were some changes. Like if you guys remember back in the day, we had things called newspapers.
Oh, wait, there still is one. Wait, we have a newspaper man in the house. Be careful what you say. We have newspapers still, ma'am. Madam.
But not the way we have them now.
No.
So things changed. Things did change. There was some reason. My point is there's some reason for some of the fears because things changed and people did lose jobs. But what I do know about a lot of those people who lost jobs is they reinvented themselves. They learned the tools. They got really savvy at social media. They really learned how to do things very differently and adjusted their careers for the most part. But I think that the lesson there was the people who succeeded and survived were the people who understood the new technology and made the effort to embrace it.
Well, I'm going to pick on Ken for just a minute more.
Because he's still there.
No, because he's still here. And you guys don't see Ken, but hi, Ken. And basically, interestingly, what you do now is you actually do all the jobs for the newspaper. So he's like a one-man show for the entire newspaper. That would have never happened. It's a small newspaper, but it would never have happened that way in the past, right? You'd have somebody who was the editor and somebody who was the writer and somebody who was the ad salesperson or whatever. You'd have like a constellation of people, even in a small newspaper. It's not like that anymore. And so, this is going to shorten that timeline. So yes, I'm not saying Shangri-La, don't be afraid for your job. I think a lot of writers are going to lose their jobs because people think that they can use AI to write.
Yes.
And honestly, AI can write sort of like a really educated toddler. Let's go back to that again. I mean, it's just like a really educated toddler. So it needs help. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about today was strategy for using AI. And so maybe we can start with that.
Yeah, no. So all right, our toddler is all grown up now, and it has ChatGPT. Her name is ChatGPT. So she's now she's in her sophomore year of college.
Yes.
And she's an intern.
Right. And her what is it? Her
prefrontal
cortex is not
quite there. She's
gotten
still
all the way
making
there.
bad decisions.
Yeah.
She's still making up things sometimes. But when you're thinking about prompts and working with these AI tools, it's really important to understand that they are like a sophomore in college as far as trying to describe to them what you need them to do. And so if you back out from that and we start talking about the strategy, I think one of the big first steps is to understand what it is that you actually are trying to accomplish with the AI. Mm-hmm. Start by we've been starting by looking at all of the activities that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. Mm-hmm. As a
like
marketer,
taking a list of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're writing emails, we're creating social media graphics. We take a e-guide and we're trying to create social media graphics from it, and we're trying to write 3 or 4 emails to support it, and we're trying to create a subset of it. Maybe we're trying to write 2 or 3 blog posts off of it. Mm-hmm. And so now we have a list of all the things we need to accomplish as a team. And then we need to step back and say, okay, what do we have to do, and what can we get our intern to do?
The AI intern. Yeah. So your intern is now, so ChatGPT, we need a name for her. Our sophomore in college is your intern. So do you just take the intern and just let them loose to do anything that they want to do, or do you train them on what your business is about and what matters to your audience? So there's a couple of things you can do with ChatGPT or any model. By the way, I use Bard all the time. Bard does great headlines for your for like YouTube videos and stuff. So I'm always like, give me some like really interesting headlines. And I usually take pieces of them and reassemble them a little bit. So think about that. Bard is great because it's a Google product, and Google, I don't know, they have the entire search engine out there. So I'll often ask Bard, what are people asking about topic? And see what it comes up with. That helps me sometimes to shake loose things that I can write about or whatever on that particular topic. So I love Bard for that reason. So there's a couple other things. Also, would you give all of your deepest, darkest IP to your intern? So that's the other part. Be really careful what you're entering into the ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT itself, inside the settings, which are really hard to find, but you can just actually Google it because it'll tell you how to turn off how to keep ChatGPT from using your data for training. I know that's a very long search phrase, but it'll come up. And in the end of the day, you can go all the way down and tell it, anything I put into you, don't use it for training. You can do that. I don't know if I trust it 100%, but you can do that. The other thing you can do is anonymize it. Mm-hmm. Are you doing that?
Not yet, because I'm still really trying to understand all.
So you're doing, talk a little.
Yeah. Yes. Speak. Yes, I am. No, we are not doing that yet because I'm really still testing. And we're not using any of our proprietary data in GPT at the moment. So
that's really important. One of the things that ChatGPT can also do is it can also talk like you, and they just added a new part of it where you can kind of explain who you are and what your voice is, and it will consistently do that for you. So it's like the 3 dots on the left-hand side. So when you open it up, there's 3 dots on the left-hand side, and there's only one choice for personalization right now. Even in the free version, you click on that, you open it, you answer the questions it asks you, and it will actually write in your voice. The other thing you can do is also take writing, like little 1,000 characters. By the way, that's how much you can put in ChatGPT. The free version anyway is 1,000 characters. And you can put that in there of your own personal writing and say, please analyze this writing like for voice and tone. And it will come back with a little paragraph about the voice and tone of that particular paragraph. And then you can use that paragraph to tell it how to write that it gave you. So you got to break it. It's like, to me, ChatGPT is a lot like a puzzle too. Like it's all the pieces and you're thinking like, how do I put this together? It's not so straightforward. I mean, you can have conversations that are just straightforward with it, but I would say that if you think about it in pieces, like what do I need to do first? I need to have my voice in there. Okay, now what? Now I need to have like a blog post about this topic. Okay, and here's some text from which you can pull from. That's one way to keep it from making stuff up is say, do it from this text. So yeah, I don't know. Are you doing stuff like that?
Yeah, so that was kind of the things that we did at the beginning. One of the things that I do is I've set up my GPT so that I have literally separate assistants, so that the models start to train. And then when I go back and need the same activity again, it already understands what I'm asking for. Beautiful. So for example, I have an assistant that writes my weekly emails. I have an assistant that will create if I drop in a PDF of like a guide or something, it will create the social posts that I need to support that. Yeah, and so in ChatGPT, like when you ask it one time something, that's a conversation. That's a single prompt. And you can go back to that prompt over and over again and ask it the same question over and over again.
So can you explain what you mean by setting up assistant? I know what you mean, but could you explain it, like break it down exactly what we're talking about here?
So for example, if I was to say, I need to, I've got to write these thank you emails or whatever. And so I have to do this once a week. I'm going to go and ask ChatGPT, I need to write a thank you email to these 10 customers with this kind of messaging, and I need it to hit these 3 points. And so that would be my prompt. I would hit it and it would write those thank you notes, copy those over, drop them, done. Next week, I'm going to come back to that same exact prompt.
Which is in the left-hand panel. Okay, so it's that search save. So when she says assistant, she's saying each one of those searches are like an assistant.
I don't have to ask it again about the structure and everything because it already knows what I want. I need these 5 thank you emails written. These are the type of customers, blah, blah, whatever. And then it'll write it again. And then I can go back in the next week. And so the more that I use that same prompt, the smarter it gets, the less changes that I need to make. So for example, on the first one, if I had made some adjustments to the copy, I would drop that back in there and say, this is how I've rearranged it. In the future, can you write it this way? And then next time I go back in, all of that information is there. So it's learning inside of this one single prompt. And so then I've got 10 little assistants to do the 10 little jobs I have to do every week.
It's a good way to think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. And are you paying for ChatGPT?
I am.
So yeah, there you go. And I'm not, because I'm using some other tools too, but so you can do it. I mean, I have those too. So it still works. It's just, it's using 3.5 instead of 4.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about that for a minute.
Oh, the difference between 3.5 and 4?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that.
I was using 3.5 for a while in the beginning because I was just like, do I really need to pay for it? I'm getting information out of it. Mm-hmm. But what I've realized with 4 is plugins.
Yeah, let's talk about plugins. That's one of the things we were going to tell you about today, which is really a big deal. So let's talk about plugins.
Yeah, so one of the biggest differences between the free version and the paid version is that the paid version has the ability to have plugins. So I'm sure if you've tried the free version, you know that you can't get anything off the internet. You can't ingest your own data. You can't, it's really very basic. But when you start to use the plugin tools, they do all kinds of little things. So
tell us the ones you like the most.
But they do all kinds of little things. So they do things like you can go and pull in a PDF, upload it, and have it read that PDF and summarize it for you. They've got ones that there's this one that I tried last week. If you guys go follow me on LinkedIn, I'm posting these things every day. But I just found this one that there's a simple prompt and then you use this plugin, Visalia, and you say, oh, create for me a video that is about this topic, and it creates a freaking video in like 5 minutes. Then you go into the Visalia app tool, and then you can adjust the script, and it'll re-render it. You can change the background images. So if you're just every week are trying to create some social video, like just so you have content, this thing will do that for you. Like there's about 1,000 prompts right now. Some are better than others. I've tried probably like 10, but one of the great things about prompts is you can use 3 prompts within any like conversation, so you can match them together. So for example, if you wanted ChatGPT to create for you a video based on a PDF that you created with your company, and then you wanted it to drop it into your Google Drive or something, like you could put these 3 plugins on there, ask it to do all those things, and you go get a cup of coffee and come back, and you have a video about your ebook.
Right, and it may not be perfect.
Yeah,
but
but I mean, then you go and edit it for 10 minutes versus doing all of those things yourself,
right,
and taking 2 hours of your day.
Right. So, I mean, that's really, really powerful. And then I use, this is not a plugin to ChatGPT, it's separate, but it's called Voila. And it's actually mentioned in here. And I don't know if that one you just mentioned is in here. I don't see it, but you can put it in. So the nice thing about the document we gave you is it's a living document. So we'll add stuff to it so you can go back and look. But that Voila is really cool too, because it's an extension for Chrome. And it's very similar to what you're talking about, because it has all these little assistants that they've programmed for you. So like, now I'm a marketing person, now I'm a doctor, now I'm this, now I'm that. And it will tell you exactly that. So there's a free version of it, but there's also like an $8 a month version of it. And by the way, Voila is using ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
So ChatGPT is $20 a month, I think, or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. And so it's cheaper than that, and it's using the 4.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's the version 4. So I've loved that too, because it's living with you in your browser. So I don't know how many. I'm the person that has 100 tabs open. I don't know who's like that. Mm-hmm. So raise your hand if you're like a 100 tab person like me. So I have 100 Chrome tabs open, and I have Voila. It just sits there, and you just click on Voila, and it opens up right there. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to go to a different screen, and it opens up right there. And you can ask it, to read that. You can put a link to a website in there and ask it to write a review or any kind of thing about that website. It'll go read that website and do a nice little summary on that website. So these are like things that save hours of time. And we did that also for the book. Whenever I was writing, the most amazing marketing book ever, we had to make a shorter version of each chapter with the name of the author of that chapter, 5 things that a podcast host could ask them to get the basis of the chapter. And so we did that in just a couple of days versus something that would have taken weeks. It was 44 pages long, by feeding the book in. So we'd feed 1,500 words in and say, please summarize this. And we had prompts for each part of that. So, you can save so much time. Yeah. And especially if you're a small team or an entrepreneur. And like, I know the thing is you're always trying to create more content, like more information, more. And if you're a one-man shop or just a handful of people, that can be really daunting. But this can be a solution. If you really understand what you're trying to create and you can go and train your assistants to do that, then this can save you a lot of time and like just exponentially impact your output. Like it's just, it can make your life easy. If you think about it from the perspective of to make my life easier, then that's where the value of AI is. Yeah, I agree. And so the other thing that I think is really interesting is that you can then spend your time creating one really rich, excellent piece of content, either a written content or video or whatever it is, and then take that one piece of content that you created yourself and turn it into all kinds of different pieces of content, blog posts and social media posts and videos
I
and unbelievable.
Okay, I gotta tell you guys, I just used this thing yesterday.
Yeah.
Called Opus AI.
Oh.
So we do these. Have you used this yet?
No. Here we go.
Oh my God!
Anne's like Opus.
All
Here
right.
we go. Let's talk.
So
We're doing tea.
basically, I don't have my tea. So here's the tea.
I did it for you.
Thank you. Our company does a monthly demo webinar. Where they talk about the product. There's a guy who comes and talks about the product. It's like a 45-minute thing. It's a long form video. We keep it behind firewall or behind like login so that it's a lead gen.
Yeah.
But there's so much like good, rich content in there. I wanted to use it for a landing. I wanted to use a snippet for a landing page. I uploaded the doc into this Opus AI thing. It spit out 10, 30-second, 60-second, and 90-second versions. It was smart enough to understand where the key messages were. And so now I have like content for a month to promote this webinar as a lead gen tool. And I was like,
you're like, yes.
What have I been doing all my life?
Yeah. No, so things like that are really helpful because you can take the stuff that you've already created and make, supplemental material for it. I think that's actually the beauty of AI in many ways, but there's also some research possibilities. So one of the things that I'm planning to do is some social listening. And when you do social listening, sometimes you pull in a bunch of data from a tool like, whatever tool you use, something like Hootsuite or other tools, and you'll bring in all this data, and then you can download it into a large pile, and then you can put that data into the AI and then query the data. So what I'm saying is like you put the data into the AI and then you ask the data questions. Like, what are people talking about most of the time? So you remember those really, the really fun, what do you call them?
Word
clouds. Yeah. It's kind of like an advanced word cloud to me, where you would ask it, what are people talking about the most when it comes to X topic, and that AI can understand that it's not just that keyword, not the keyword, like what are people talking about when it comes to creating video with AI? Okay, so it would go out and look at this data pool, and then it would come back and say, well, people are talking about short form video, this, and this. So it doesn't need just the exact term. So that's one of the things I think that's really powerful about AI is that we can now query data without having just keywords. Keywords are what we've been like, we've been stuck with keywords forever, right? You have to have your keywords, you have to have your SEO in order, you have to have what people are searching for. We talked about long tail keywords, short tail words. I mean, if you're in the SEO space, you've heard this. So I love the idea that you can take a huge pile of data, your own data, and put it into an AI model. There are tools out there that are doing that right now. I don't have them on the tip of my tongue at the moment because I'm right in the middle of researching this at the moment because I'm about to do an actual project on this. So I'll know in about a month. But interesting, right?
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
It will be cool. Yeah. I'm very excited about it. So I really feel like that's something that I didn't have. Like it would have taken me days, an hour. I mean, I did it all the time. I take data and sift it and you come up with these insights and, but you'd spend hours with the data.
No, absolutely. When I was testing Claude, I put in our, I just dropped in our like monthly report with all of our data points of like open rate and click-through rate and all that stuff. So I just pulled it into a PDF and put it in Claude. And I said, can you summarize this for me? And it popped out like what I usually do for like a Friday report to execs. Yeah. And so the research part of it, you're right, is really strong.
So Claude is another AI tool. It's not, I couldn't get access to it. I don't know why.
I'll have to look at it with you. Yeah, I got it. It got in.
Yeah, it's called Claude.
And there's a tool called Poe that gives you access to Claude.
Poe. P-O?
Check my LinkedIn. It's there.
It's there. We'll go. And you can get to her LinkedIn easy because I gave you, Tracy's been sharing the link. Tori shared the link. If you go to the document we gave you, Jennifer's LinkedIn is right up the front. So you can just click on there, follow her. I'm very excited about this. So
Testing it. It's the testing it that's fun and trying to really understand what works and what doesn't. And it requires a little, like right now, it's the early stages. It's like the beginning of social media. You got to log into everything a little bit. You got to try everything a little bit, but understanding what jobs you have to be done is what's going to help you to sift through that noise and figure out exactly what it is you actually care about and need.
Yeah, and we'll make sure everything she said is also going to be in the document. We've been mentioning stuff, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, we had a snafu with the document.
No, it's working now.
I didn't see it. Still.
If not, I will let you.
We'll get there. I promise.
I'll share it on my LinkedIn.
Yeah, just
to you guys. I've been working on this running list of tools that right now I've got about 40 tools aggregated, and they're all for marketing use. So I've kind of sifted through the noise and tried to put some notes about kind of what everything is and how it works.
Yeah.
And so I'm more than happy to share that with you guys.
Yeah, and that's a lot of tools. So that's one of the things that's a little bit nerve-wracking about this is what tools to use, which ones are going to make it through. Yeah. Some are going to consolidate, some are going to get bought out. I promise you, we're in a very tumultuous stage of AI right now because we're just at that beginning stage, but it's good enough right now for you to actually get stuff done. So I would say tools are great, but also focus. Like, so if the least thing you could do is just get ChatGPT and start querying and learning how it works, right? For your own use cases. And as you are working through it, what is it that you need to do? What is it that you need to accomplish? And then find the right tool for that thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't think all these tools are going to make it.
Oh, no. I mean, none of like that never happens. Like something that's going to boil down and people are going to understand what they need, what's valuable and what's not.
And it's going to come together. So that's really interesting. I do want to go back to guidelines. So there are organizations that are putting together guidelines. I did pull this up, but the AP style guide, how many of you use the AP style guide? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, so it's a book that basically tells you and journalists how to, do certain things like how do you put an ellipsis here? Do you do this? Do that? Also, it has some guidelines. Last week, August 17th, AI guidance was added to the AP style book. So just giving you a highlight, they're going to be talking about generative artificial intelligence, clarifying the concept and advising to consider the model's tendency to generate inaccurate responses to queries. So I want to talk about that for a minute. Inaccurate responses to queries. So there was a lawyer about a month ago who is being sanctioned $5,000, and plus he had to go and talk to the people that were affected directly because he used ChatGPT to write his court documents. And so he went to court with fake precedents. You know how it is in legal, like everything is a precedence, right? You have to find old court cases and old precedents and bring them in to bolster your account. Well, the ones that he brought in were not real. ChatGPT made them up because that's one of the funny things about ChatGPT. Remember the toddler, it wants to please you. So it will tell you, I say please you, it doesn't care about your feelings per se, but it wants to answer your question. That's the basic. And so if it doesn't really have the answer, it'll sometimes create the answer. And it may be taking from here or there, and it just makes a wrong assumption, sometimes. So
yeah, they call them hallucinations.
Hallucinations,
which I think is hilarious.
Like drugs. It's like you had drugs.
I'm just like, okay, the thing is hallucinating. But that's why it's really important for human interaction to be a part of this. Is you can't just take something out of any of these GPT models and stick it up on your stuff. That's the ethical side of this. You have to. It needs human intervention. You need to read the solution, what it's outputted, and then like Cami said earlier, doing it in small chunks can help you to be more efficient with this work. So when I first started, I would do things like, here's a paragraph, 2 paragraphs. Can you rewrite this? And that would be it. I would, if I was writing a big guide, I would say, okay, can you write me a section on this? Then next thing, can you write me a section on this?
The worst thing you can honestly do right now with this chat model is by saying, write me a book about this or that or whatever, because it won't be a good book.
It's gonna be bad.
It'll be terrible, A, and B, it's going to be it'll sound vanilla too, and plus it could be wrong. Like the stuff that it
Could be
offers up
half
could be completely
hallucinations.
wrong. So you have to do your research behind it a little bit too, and make sure that what it's telling you is actually true. So I also don't ask it a lot of definitive questions like that, where I'm asking it to tell the truth, because I know for the most part, I'd say, I mean, I'm guessing here, right? 30% of the time, it's sort of like winging it. Okay. It's like somebody who did their essay paper the night before it was due.
Sophomore in college.
Sophomore in college. I mean, it just, yeah, we were talking about this on the phone. This is like such a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
I think it helps to understand exactly what you're dealing with here. And so, but what I will say is it makes things possible that weren't possible before.
Yeah.
So if you are feeling like, if you're a person who stares at a blank page and just slobbers on yourself sometimes, I mean, I'm a writer. Sometimes I look at a blank page and I'm like, dang, I just don't want to do this right now. So that's the cool thing that this can do for you, is it can help you to get started. So I love it as that. Yes, sir. Let's get some questions. Hold on one second. I'm going to get you a mic so that people online can hear.
How you guys doing?
Good.
My name is Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
So when writing like short stories, I get what you're saying about it being vanilla and bland, because I tried to do that and it's definitely like that. But with the personalization tool, like after you get, like when they get your kind of tone or style down, is it a little better when writing a short story?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Especially if you can, ahead of, like when you're writing that prompt, give it as much detail as you can. Like, don't be afraid to write long prompts. Like, write me a story about a butterfly who is green and blue, and like it does this and does that. Like, you may feel like you're doing a lot of the work ahead of time, but if you're trying to get it to mature, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see where it is in here, but inside of ChatGPT, and I know you guys can't really see this, but right here on the bottom, like when you open it up, so like when you open up ChatGPT, and you can here, if you have it on your phone, I have the app on my phone. It just happened to, or I saved it on my phone, and it just looks like blank like that, right? And then when you click on the 3 lines, the hamburger menu, as they call it, the 3 lines, it opens up. And these are all my little assistants. You can see I've been using it, right? You see where I've been doing stuff. And then down here, it says new, a big new button. And there's 3 little dots. And inside the 3 little dots, there is a really great thing called custom instructions. All right. So inside of that 3 dots, there's something called, he's focusing on it. Thank you. There's this thing called custom instructions. And I know you can't see that, but I'm going to turn it for a second so I can click on it. And when you open it up, it tells you, okay. And it gives you these little boxes where you can write in your tone. So the first thing says, what would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? It gives you a box. And you can do 1,500 characters in there. And then the second box says, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? So they give you some ideas, like they give you some little ideas about what you can put in that box off to the side. They give you, like, there's a little information eye inside of there. If you click on it, it'll tell you. And then the cool thing about this is this can be kind of your assistant, like you said. But if you want to do other, like if you're a marketer, you're not always speaking in your own voice, right? There's a little slider. You can turn it on or off. So you can turn it off if you're working on something else. So I think it's very helpful and useful. It's a good start, especially if you're only using it for you. This is a really helpful thing. Also, I had ChatGPT help me figure this out. So I would take some blog posts I wrote and so on, and I'd ask it to like say, what is the voice for this? So what is the voice for this kind of writing? And it actually gave me an entire paragraph. It said, my writing style is conversational and informative. I use personal anecdotes and examples to illustrate my points. I have a friendly tone and engage with my audience through the text. I also use bullet points and headings to organize my content and make it easier to follow. Overall, my writing style is engaging and educational, making it easy for readers to understand and connect with the information you are sharing. I like to have my writing style solve a problem for my reader or promise to solve one at an event. I put that in. That's good. Try not to use the word that or audience. I don't like to use those words. Replace an adjective with a noun where possible. So that's what I put in here. just for active. I found that ChatGPT was very passive in its writing. It's just got this very passive voice, and I didn't like it. So I put that in there. But the other part that I just read to you was generated by ChatGPT to describe my writing style based on my actual writing that I put into ChatGPT. Yes, Gika?
So once you put that in, you can modify it, or once it
Yes.
brings that back to you, you can go ahead and modify it.
Yes. So if you don't like what it's doing, you're like, oh, I don't like that. You can go back in and say, and don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I think you almost have to put as many, like I said, don'ts as you have do's, because again, it's like you're putting the guardrails on the boundaries or whatever you want to say for its voice and how it's using your voice. So I think this is a really handy thing. And it just came out, by the way. They just added this like 2 weeks ago. So this is a very new part of it. I was actually going in and training assistants just like you did, and having like one that was like, this is my voice assistant, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then the rest were other things. But now I don't have to do that anymore because I have this.
Yeah, that's great.
So there you are. Questions? Yes.
Thank you. 2 questions. So on my chat GPT, I'm seeing a lot, and it's 3.5, so it's not the paid version. I'm seeing a lot of new chat, maybe a title. So when you were talking about, Jennifer, how you have your assistant, you go back to a previous chat, mine don't all have titles. And are you able to, like, on the paid version, move them up?
There's a little pencil right next to it that you click on.
Okay.
That to change the name of it.
Okay. And then with respect to the custom instructions, came out a couple of weeks ago. I saw a video on somebody, he's selling, I'm not going to buy them, but I thought it was interesting, custom instructions to do assistance for different things.
Yes.
So you would go in, but for me, I thought, well, isn't that more of a prompt that you would put in than custom instructions? So I don't know if there are pros and cons to doing it either way, changing your custom instructions each time or doing it as a prompt for a new chat.
I've got thoughts on this, but if
go ahead.
Okay, I've got
feel like we're right on the same page.
I've got a pretty serious opinion about this. So here's the thing. Right now, there's a lot of people out there selling prompts to teach you how to do specific things. Listen, if you want to pay, okay, we'll be on here in a minute. So if you don't see us live, just listen in. So the camera's dead, but we do have lots of batteries. So they are in the black case, the zipper case, I think.
I didn't see them earlier.
Not that case, in the actual black one that we have all the other stuff in. It's the blue, yeah. Okay, sorry, I had to tell them where the batteries were. So in the end of the day, what you're gonna have to do is decide if that's worth it for you to buy $27 worth of prompts. Somebody spent a lot of time figuring out how to make ChatGPT do something. So it could be a good shortcut. I mean, I'm not against it per se, but I do believe a lot of these prompts, they're not permanent. Do you understand what I'm saying? So because ChatGPT is changing so fast, a prompt that worked today might not work tomorrow. In fact, it probably won't. It might actually not work anymore after a while because of just the way that chat. So you're gonna have to adjust that prompt. You were talking about that too.
Yeah.
Like it suddenly starts doing something weird and different that it didn't do before. So you're not gonna be able to go back to that prompt Bible, right? So again, I'm not against people selling their hard work. So again, I mean, yeah, go for it, buy it if you want to, but remember that this is it's a temporary fix. And maybe it's a good thing for some people because it's hard to think like this, right? It's a very logical way of thinking. I took in college a logic course. I don't know if anybody's ever taken that. It was counted as a math course in my college because you would have to say, if this, then that, then this, then that. And you had to put it all together. And that's a lot like ChatGPT. It's the prompts for chat is very much a logic problem. Like what comes first, then what, then what, then what. So if you're terrible at that, like, you can go buy as many chat prompts as you want.
I think one of the benefits to, if you're just getting started, like I wouldn't do it, but if you if you're really just getting started and you're trying to understand how to write prompts, it's helpful to see those things so that you can understand what it does, what ChatGPT can do, because it gives you ideas.
Yes.
But there are a lot of free newsletters, and that's where like I pull a lot of my information from that give you daily prompt ideas for free. And so there are a lot of tools that you can access now to get exactly what a lot of these people are selling. And that just helps you to understand it and do it better so that you eventually know how to write your own prompts, and it's really
Right.
seamless. But I think part of your question was about the customization versus the prompt writing. I think the answer is both. Like, I think it's important to do both, because the customization sets the standard for what your voice is, what your tone is, and what kind of things that you want to write, or like what you want the output to be. But then the prompt refines that.
Yeah, that's a good answer. And also, I mean, do you have all the time in the world to be reading every newsletter and figuring out every prompt and becoming a prompt engineer? Maybe not. I mean, I think there's a place for the fact that somebody went out there and they did the hard work to figure out how to do a prompt. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, I personally am not buying prompt Bibles. This is me.
Could you share the newsletter that you follow?
I can drop them.
Drop them in the document.
I
We'll
will
see
drop
what's
them
going
in
on.
the document. I just updated the document. I'm not sure why you're not seeing it.
It's probably there.
But yeah,
We'll drop it in the document.
Yes, there's a few.
There's also so again, I'm on ChatGPT 3.5 free. There's an kind of like a plug-in thing for the free version. It's working on the free unless I found a loophole. AIPRM as in Mary. And so it's added a bunch of stuff in there for me on the free version.
Nice.
Which
What
I
does it
thought was
do?
Cool. It just has different, prompt type things, kind of like, assistants or different types of queries in there. So
nice.
might want to test that out.
Okay, all
Okay.
right.
AIPRM.
Send it. Drop it in my.
AIPRM.
AIP as in Peter, RM as in Mary.
Yeah, it's kind of like Voila, a little bit, same kind of deal. They do have a free version too. Voila,
Nice.
like voila, like the French version. Voila. That is in the document. Thank you. We'll add that in too. Anybody else have questions? I would love to hear questions, but also what you're trying to use it for. I'd like to hear that too.
I'm using it for
Hold on, Jackie.
a business plan.
Okay, Jackie, here you go.
Nice.
Oh,
Sorry. I'm using. I'm actually not. I started using Chat GPT, but then I heard about Bard. Sorry.
BARD.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the Google version of ChatGPT, if you will.
So I started using that one, and I found that one a little bit more helpful because, like, I don't know how to do the prompts, and I'm using it for a business plan.
That's
and but now that you're mentioning, I'm afraid to use any of those of that market research, because what about if it's wrong?
Yeah, you got to be careful. You do have to double check it, especially if you're making any business decision on it. I would definitely check like stats and things. I mean, you could use Google to back it up, to like go and say, hey, you take what it said and actually Google it and see what happens. So I mean, that's another way to do it fast. And Google does have that. I mean, it is Bard, which is Google. So it's a little bit, it's not just based on 2021 and earlier like ChatGPT is. It's not great at research. Okay. So let's just say that it is not the best at research. What I was going to say, what do you not, let's talk about that. What should you not use AI for, or these AI tools right now for? I would say don't use it for research.
Yeah. I think it's a good research starter.
Yeah.
But I think you need to go and validate pretty much everything.
Yeah.
It's
double work.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what you mean by research. I guess, you can say, what are people asking about X, Y, Z? That's different. That's a little softer versus what was the GDP of this country, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it may or may not do as good as Google on that. I also don't think you should be using it for, currently, that's my opinion, for something like writing a book, unless you're using it just to clean up your text. I mean, because you are anyway, like editor. Grammarly, it's a great editor. It's a great editor. Truly, truly one of the best editors. But you want to keep your voice somewhere in there. Do you know? So make sure it's reflecting your voice, and actually your ideas are important in this world. And by the way, here's the thing, like, if we all stop writing, what will
it learn
ChatGPT
from?
eat?
Yeah. So, yeah. We're going to starve it and it's going to die.
And it will starve. And so there's a lot of research being done, and you can
Yeah.
look online. I've looked into it, that it needs like a massive amount of data. And that's why we're having issues with plagiarism and IP and all this stuff, because it's like gobbling up all of the things that are public on the internet. So you can put robots on your website to block ChatGPT from using your text if you don't want it to. So you can do that. I mean, I guess I don't really know why you do that unless it was like paywall or something like that, which should stop it anyway. So there's that. But I do feel like they are having, they just made a deal with the AP as well. They just made a deal with the AP as well. And they're actually, the AP is giving it, I'm sure they're selling the data from their catalog to ChatGPT, so that there's some quality data. They call quality data things like that, like the AP stuff. And they call kind of junk data sort of the internet and social media and all of that. But they're putting all that in there. That's why there's so many hallucinations, I think. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And it's, by the way, it's chewing up all that too. So if you see that, so if you do see that, like, for example, one of the first things I asked ChatGPT is, who is Cami Hoyza? Because I wanted to see what the heck it said. And it came back with some really interesting stuff. I was like, no, I did not go to school at UTSA. I don't know. It was just, it said I went to a wrong school. It said that I was a writer for Inc. I wish. I've done some Forbes stuff. That was right. I was just like, okay, interesting. Okay, so no. I fed back to it. I said, no, Cami did not go here. Cami did not do this. Cami did not do that. And then it said, oh, we're so sorry. After we checked again, you're right. She didn't. After we checked again, I'm like, okay. So you can fix some of the problems that you see. So I would say if there's something really egregious, fix it. You can fix it. You have the power to do so by telling it. So anyway, any other questions? Yeah, Anne?
I was just not so much a question, but sharing some other tools that I've gone down the AI rabbit hole.
Yeah, there's so many tools.
So Opus Clips, another shout out for them. Great, amazing tools. Like literally the first time I tried it, I went, take my money. Opus Clips, it's opus.pro is the website, $20 a month. And it creates all these, it repurposes your long format video in 15 minutes. What you would have, with captions and all
amazing.
the things. What would have taken us hours and hours to do. I use Jasper.ai instead of ChatGPT. I still go on ChatGPT sometimes because I want like a headline or something. So I'm using it for headlines, copy, for promos, landing pages, things like that, social media posts. But Jasper is typically what I use. And then if anybody's looking to create content, like learning content that you need for a class, or if you're looking, Learning Studio AI. I came across it and I put in some parameters. I need to create a course for personal branding for this audience, blah, blah, blah. And it created a course for me. Now, it's a great outline. It's not something that I would use exactly for my course, but it is a really good framework and outline.
A good start.
So I wanted to share it. And then and Grammarly, of course. But
yeah, and I use Word Hero kind of like you use Jasper. So Word Hero is good. It's in the list too, and that's similar. I don't know what the monthly cost is. I bought it on AppSumo, which is another obsession of mine. So appsumo.com is a good place for you to be watching for new AI tools as they emerge. Why it's cool is because you can pay for it once and never have to pay for it again. So that's helpful. I got Word Hero that way, very similar to Jasper, but I don't have to pay the monthly fee. Kind of nice.
Yeah, I like that. My grandfather into Jasper's lower pricing tier.
Oh, nice.
Sorry. I luckily got grandfathered into the lower cost, but I think the basic team's cost right now is $125 on Jasper.
Yeah.
But it allows like 3 people on there. So
I mean, if you're doing this like for an agency. I think we're kind of to the last couple of minutes here. So definitely make sure you scan and get the document. We'll try to update the document with everything we talked about today. So you can check it again in another day or two. So bookmark it on your phone or put it into your thing. Also, I did want to mention that we are going to be having the gift of guidance in December. So I have on the table, I have a place for you to sign up to be a volunteer, and also a place for nonprofits to sign up to get help. So we are going to pick from the people that apply. We usually pick 10. It's competitive, so you do have to fill out an application. And I'm going to ask Anne to come up here for just a minute. And she has an event next week that I want you all to know about. That's really important. That kind of goes hand in hand with the gift of guidance. And here comes the mic. So
let's see. Let me make sure I'm in frame. I'll stand here next to my friend Jennifer Tejada. So if you guys have seen my post, hopefully, about the Day of Caring Better Together event, it's on September 12th. It is a chance for the public to come and meet 25 featured nonprofits and learn more about them, learn about volunteer opportunities, board member opportunities, ways to support them through your time, your talent, or supporting them, monetarily. These are, most of them are local grassroots organizations. So they definitely need the awareness and the attention. And so the event is free to the public. The link, I'll share it, but I'll tell you right now, it's bit.ly/Day of Caring -2023. Again, it's on Tuesday, September 12th. Gift of Guidance will be there. These two lovely ladies will be there representing. So I hope to see you all. I do need event day volunteers if anybody has some time. It's from 12 to 7, the hours. And also, if your company has an initiative for volunteerism, this is great information to share with your employees. So thank you, Kimmy.
You're welcome. Thank you. We're really excited to be a part of that. And we're going to be trying to get, to recruit nonprofits to sign up to do the Gift of Guidance, and also volunteers to help with that event. How many of you have been to the Gift of Guidance event here? Yeah, Gika, how many times? I mean, maybe, I don't know, 8, 9 times. Yes. So yeah, we got it. Isn't it the most amazing feeling? That is such a great event. It's a feel good event. It's like you leave the year knowing that you actually did good in the world. We brainstorm with a nonprofit to help them with their marketing plan. Even if you're not a great marketer, it doesn't matter. If you are, then I need you as a table leader. But even if you're not, you just come around the table leader and the scribe, and you guys come up with amazing ideas for that nonprofit. So it's really a great way to end the year. I cannot even believe we're talking about ending the year. So anyway, we'll be back here next month, same time, same place, second Friday. I'm kind of working with a speaker right now. I'm not sure if they're on or off. I'll let you know. So I'll be sending out emails about that. So if you're not on my email list, go to smbhou.com and make sure that you get on our email list, Social Media Breakfast of Houston, smbhou.com. and get on our email list so you know when these events are happening. All right, great. So great to see everybody here, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.